Hello everyone, welcome to this workshop. Here at the Academy, we hope to teach you today how you can also feminize or masculinize your voice using some techniques, exercises, and some sound methodology to get you to sound like you want to sound. That's a lot of sound words, but talking about being sound and healthy, let's talk a little bit about voice and when it comes to hygiene and vocal health and safety. First and foremost, be sure to drink water 10 to 15 minutes before doing any voice work. That is because when you drink water, the hydration process will only happen for the blood flow. When you drink the water, it doesn't go down to your vocal folds, down to your vocal cords, but rather down to your stomach. That's nice so we don't choke on water, but also means that the water will only hydrate your voice through the blood flow. So please wait 10 to 15 minutes after drinking said water for the hydration to be proper and fully affecting your voice. Now, another thing I should mention is that certain medications are known to be dehydrating to the body and thus also have an effect on the voice. Medications such as spironolactone, which is quite often a medication that we can take as trans people for hormonal treatment, typically. We tend to find that this can be a bit dehydrating to the voice. So, of course, you shouldn't stop taking such medication if you have that medication. Just be sure to maybe try to work around it. If you can take the Spiro in the evening before sleep, so it doesn't affect you during your day, then that's a good way to work around that issue. Of course, there's other medications that could be responsible for this. Typically, medications such as hay fever medication. It's not really the season anymore, but it's also dehydrating to the body. There may be other types of medications, so be sure to check what you are taking, but don't stop taking it if there is really no way for you to avoid taking such things or to avoid, taking it during, for example, the evening to avoid the effects of it during the whole day. If you have to take the medication in the morning, try to do the voice work in the evening and vice versa. Other things such as coffee, alcohol, sugar to a lesser extent, that is, and smoking, all of these are known to be dehydrating to the voice. But, at the end of the day, body autonomy reigns supreme, so just be smart. Try to avoid doing both at the same time. All right. That being said, let's move on to explain what voice is actually about and how it functions. So here behind me on the boards, you may be able to see a little slide, and this presents to you the power source filter model. Sorry, the day is still new for me. So, what is the power source filter model? Well, it aims to break down the voice into three main categories: the power, the source, and the filter. The power will be basically how much air you can push and provide to the voice. If you have very little air, you're generally going to have a little quieter voice. If you have a lot of air, it's easier to do louder voices. It's your power after all. But what happens? You push that air up and it reaches your larynx. Moving up the trachea, it reaches your larynx. And what do we find in the larynx? In the larynx, we find the vocal cords. We call those vocal folds because that's what they are. They're like little flaps of flesh and stuff. And so they close together and then they vibrate thanks to the power that we provide beneath it. And so as they vibrate, they create a source sound. Now, with that source sound created, we get, well, voice. Not exactly though, because that sound will then have to be filtered out by all of the space because it needs to escape out into the world through the mouth or through the nose. And so when we filter our voice, we get different words, vowel sounds, a, e, o, I, u, but also very different gendered perception of the voices can be created if we change the size of the filter. If you have a really big filter, then you get really dark, hollow voices. If you have a really small filter, then you get really bright, feminine-leaning voices. And so basically that's the main idea here. If you are to modify your voice and to take one thing away from this whole session, it is that modifying the filter is the often disregarded thing that people never talk about. You might have been online a bit, you've seen the term resonance used around, and this is generally what it refers to. Modifying the size of this filter, of this vocal tract, because that is what it's called, will allow us to create really dark sound leaning masculine and really bright sound leaning very feminine. But I'm not here to teach you how to sound perfectly hyper-fem or hyper-masc. Your goal is to find a voice that suits you, after all. So let's talk about the things that will tend to make consensus when it comes to gender perception. And it will come down to one biological factor, the exposure to testosterone, and how society and the social construct of gender in terms of voice perception is built. And so testosterone does three main things to our voices when it affects us. First thing it does is it will drop our Adam's apple. Remember the larynx? The larynx is basically right behind the Adam's apple. The Adam's apple is the cartilage part of the larynx. And so as testosterone affects our voice, the larynx will drop.
And when it drops, it creates a much bigger filter, a much darker sound. That's the first thing that testosterone does. It makes everything bigger and wider. Then the second thing that happens is that testosterone will allow the vocal folds to become longer, and as the vocal folds become longer, they can also start to vibrate a lot slower. And by vibrating a lot slower, those vocal folds can now create lower pitches. After all, it is a slower vibration rate of the vocal folds that causes and creates these lower sounds. But that is not the only thing. The third thing that testosterone does to our voices is that it will make the vocal folds a little bit thicker. Because just like the rest of our body, testosterone does increase muscle mass. And with that extra mass, we have extra texture. And this is how testosterone gives you a fully fledged, really beefy masc voice. And if you're like me and you want to actually sound feminine, you
want to revert all of these three things to achieve a more feminine leaning voice. So at the end of the day, you'll find masc voices that are a little bit higher in pitch. You'll find femme voices that are much lower in pitch. So it really depends on what kind of voice you want to go for. Do not let gender perception and, gender expectations define what you want to have as a voice. I understand some of us might have a concern as when it comes to safety, for example, some of us need that voice to be safer, and so we are going to try to go to the extremes of these two gendered boxes, if you will. But it is not a necessity. Today, I hope to give you the tools in this voice modulation workshop so that you can also modify your voice however you see fit. Now, with that being said, let's do some vocal warm-up, shall we? I'll allow all of you to unmute your microphones and to do a little warm-up with me. All right, so we're going to do a few different sounds. I'm going to go first, show you what kind of sounds we make, and then we do it all together. Sounds good? All right, let's go. I go first on an O sound, as in the word old.
Ooh.
All right, so
Ooh.
Let's try this all together in 3, 2, 1. All right, very good. Let's try one more sound. This time we say Z. Oh, this time we say Z as in the word zoo. I go first. Let's try this all together in 3, 2, 1. All right, you're doing so great. Good job. And now one last sound. This time we're going to use our lips. We're going to make our lips do this bubbling sound. All right, this is called a lip trill. It's one of the more intense sounds, but one that is really good for warming up the voice. So let's try this together. I go first. Let's try this in 3, 2, 1. All right, very good. Good job. All right, so now you can please mute your mics again and we'll move on to the next part of the workshop. I know y'all sounded silly, but you know what? This is a great way to warm up your voice. It might not sound like it, but I'll give you the really quick physical explanation for why we do these things. They're called softies, semi-occluded vocal tract exercises. They're just vocal warm-ups. But the whole point of doing those is that if you remember the power source filter model, when we use our voice, we always push air from below the vocal folds. The vocal folds are here, and we push air from below. So that means that there's always a strong pressure coming from our lungs. That means the vocal folds are always under the pressure of the lungs. When we do a softy, oh, with the lips in the way, or zzz, with the tongue and teeth in the way, or brrr, with the lips in the way, we actually create a counter pressure at the level of our mouth, which then allows us to help fight a bit against that pressure and allows the vocal folds to warm up in a more gentle manner. We only did like one or two of these. It's recommended to do maybe like 1 minute or two at the start of the day before doing any voice work. So be sure to do some of these whenever you're going to do some vocal warm up. You'll thank me later for this. But enough with methodology, theory, and good practices. I mean, there'll still be more good practices, but now we'll move on to the part where people can come up on stage. For those who are new here, I generally get up on stage two people who want to feminize their voices and two people who want to masculinize their voices. Today I'm going to start with masc voice. So if you want to make your voice sound more masculine, please jump in place, raise your hand, or use the hand emoji. I don't even know how you do the hand emoji anymore. It's been a while. Where's the hand emoji? Oh, that's the one. All right, perfect. So do we got anyone here? All right, no masc voice. Is it all fem voice today? I guess maybe some masc voice users will come around later. All right, so I guess this time we start with fem voice. So if you want to make your voice sound more feminine, please raise your hand, jump in place, or use the hand emoji. All right, here, Luna Jackalope, you've not been on stage before, have you?
Well, it's been a year. Is
It's
that
been a
okay?
year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you already been on stage. Would you
Yeah.
mind letting others who haven't had their
Yeah,
chance up
sure.
on stage?
Yeah,
It's okay.
sorry.
I understand. Ask me questions after the workshop if you want. I'll be able to provide you with some help.
Okay.
Okay, who else? All right. Frost Moon Beast, yes? Have you already been on stage? Nope. I don't recognize the avatar. All right, come up on stage. Come on, come on. Everyone give a big round of applause to Frost Moon Beast. Woo!
Yay.
All right, hello. Welcome on stage. Hi. Is this the first time that you're doing one of these workshops?
Yes.
All right. Are you familiar with some of the techniques we use here, like whisper sirens? Are you familiar with the words that we use? Brightness, darkness,
A little bit, yeah.
lightness? All right, very good. Well then, let's get started. I'm gonna set a quick timer. All right, all set up on my end. So, Frost Moon, Beast, what should I call you?
You can just call me Frost.
All right, gotcha. So, Frost, pray tell, what is it that you like to work on with your voice today? Do you have a specific goal in mind, if you know a little bit of the words we use, or just like a general overview of what to do with your voice?
I definitely want to make it more femme, obviously, a little bit brighter. Maybe ease off some of the tension that I've been feeling.
All right, very good. So, just by hearing your voice, you're really like what I'm hearing is like kind of a voice I hear. Like it's obviously very bright, but however, it's like a little bit heavy, I would say, in terms of weight. Like it could gain a lot from like being a little bit softer, especially at these lower pitches. Right now, it like sounds a little bit too abrasive due to probably like more vocal fold mass being present. And it seems like you're kind of palliate to that heavy vocal fold mass by making it like slightly breathy. And I can only understand how this could create tension and be fatiguing on your voice for the long term. So let's talk about this. What I want you to do is say the word. Oh, first, can you please set your mic so that your mic is properly open? So please go to your mic settings and your sound settings, sorry, and on your microphone, make sure that the noise suppression is turned off and that the mic activation threshold is all the way down to 0%.
Okay, done.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much. Now I want you to just give me a very gentle hot as a word, like hot.
Hot.
Very good. So as you do it here, hot. It's quite heavy. You hear the sound ends up buzzy. So let's try to take that H sound, right? Because what is an H sound if not just pure breath? Right? If we take that H sound and make it quieter, hot,
Hot.
reduce how fast the air comes out and make it quieter. So it gets from hot to hot.
Hot.
Try it out.
Hot.
Yes. All right, very good. And now that same quality of voice, let's just try to say something like ashes to ashes. Hot. Ashes to
Hot.
ashes.
Ashes to ashes.
Very good. Already here, I hear your voice being a lot softer. Ashes to ashes. Very good. All right. Without any further ado, let us read some sentences that you could test this new quality with. All right. So, see the sentences up there on the board?
Hmm?
All right, let's try to read that first sentence. Hot. That mad
That
sat
brat
on
sat
a
on the flat mat.
Very good. Now, careful here. I hear the following. The mad rat sat on the flat mat. Do you hear that? That very gentle buzziness that's a little bit behind that. On that flat mat, right? That's a symptom of heavy vocal fold mass. It's one of the hardest things to dehabitualize in a sense because if you okay, that's another question for you. Like, do you use your mask voice still, or have you fully switched to fem voice?
I do still use my mask voice.
All right. So if you use your mask voice, that makes a lot of sense. Would you say that your mask voice like has like a lot of heaviness in it, or is it like a more gentle mask voice that you would use?
I don't know. I think it's got some heaviness to it.
Gotcha. So, as you may already know, like you're habitualizing, or rather, you're relying still on using a lot of vocal fold mass. You have to kind of learn to make your voice softer. To do this, you basically want to push less air out, not prevent the air from coming out by clenching around it, but rather by learning to better breathe. Like, stand up straight, arms like down down your body, and you kind of like you want to use more of your ab muscles, your lower back muscles, and some of like your chest muscles to kind of properly breathe. Because you can breathe by, opening the vocal folds because they can open or close. Uh, 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 but you can also learn to breathe by just using like the muscles that help you breathe, the diaphragm and all that. So let's try to breathe all of the air at once, like let's try. Yes. Now make that twice as long from a to a. Very good. And again, twice as long from that last one, but for as long as you can. Right. Very good. First thing you might notice is that it gets quieter. Second thing you might notice is that it gets longer. Well, rather, you made it longer so it got quieter because you don't magically create more air in your lungs. So as you breathe all of it out on a longer time, you actually learn to regulate how fast you breathe out. With
Mask voices, we tend to produce a lot of sound with a lot of air, especially if you have like a lot of texture, right? But with
fan voice, we tend to use a lot less air because the vocals are vibrating faster and they're also a lot thinner. Think about it this way, right? Like if you have a
heavy vocal folds, it's like kind of cardboard. It's not as pliable as paper, but like it can vibrate not so great, right? Like it needs a lot of air to move.
but the thinner vocal folds are more like paper, right? Like if you like use as much air, you're gonna get like a really breathy voice. They're gonna like get out of the way, right? So the goal is to regulate that airflow to have a better time with, first of all, it's going to help you release that tension, but also it's going to allow you to not have that buzzier sound that comes from having too much vocal fold mass engaged. Now, let's try this from this really slow airflow. Let's try to make it to the point where it becomes completely quiet from a to can't hear me? I am still breathing out, and that's normal. It's part of the exercise.
Okay.
Try to make it completely silence. Yes. close enough, not as silent as silence, because I could hear it, but that is a really good thing. And so from that amount of air, try to set up your voice. So like, let's try to go from that to ashes. So like, uh, 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 ashes.
Ashes.
Very good. And from there, let's stay really quiet and go again. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
All right, very good. And now let's try to add a bit more intonation. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That's pretty good. I would say it's not as light as what I am doing as an example, but is it thick? Is it still buzzy in your case? Not at all. You went from that mad brat sat on that flat mat to that mad brat sat on that flat mat. Still a bit loud, but loud is not bad. It's the thickness that is the problem. Do you want to try this again on the next sentence, just by
Sure.
on your own? Try to like kind of hone in that softness.
The crowbar opened the subpar car.
That's awesome sounding. And how would you have done it normally? Maybe like the crowbar opened the subpar car, perhaps. Would you
Yeah.
tend to agree? Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. So that's something new for you to discover and play around with and, make it yours. It's, over time, if you don't pay attention to your voice, you're going to very quickly, go from the crowbar opened the subpar car, the store doors creaked more on the fourth floor, the new you is no taboo, you girl, it's true, because your brain is lazy. I mean, don't worry. I'm not saying specifically you, but like me too. It's a normal human thing to want to go to behaviors we are, well, really well acquainted with. And so if you don't pay attention over time, it will go back to your old voice. But that's the whole point of voice training. We retrain our body until it understands, okay, that's my new neutral, that's my new normal, and I can go from there. Although, if you make your voice softer, don't end up being too soft all the time. You don't want it to be at the point of the crowbar opened the subpar car. The store door creaked more on the fourth floor. Right? Everything in balance. Right now, you went from really thick to something that's like in the middle. I think what you did is really good. You wouldn't need to go any further, but perhaps for like different social situations, like settings where you need to be quieter or where you don't need to be as loud, this might be useful for you to practice to have a gentle voice for like more quiet situations. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Try to experiment with this. I hope this has been helpful to you, Frostmoon. Everyone, please give a big round of applause to Frostmoon Beast. Woo! All right, that was very good. All right, I see some new faces. Does anyone want to move up on stage to make their voices sound more masculine? If you want to make your voice sound more masculine, please raise your hand, jump in place, or use the hand emoji.
Already got that.
Do we got anyone that wants to make their voice mask? Okay. Oh, I saw someone jump. No, that's maybe not. Okay, how about...
I was on accident.
Okay, that's okay. No worries. You're fine. Okay, what about voice androgyny? Maybe someone who wants to sound in the middle. The okay, here. Arshia. Am I saying that properly? Yes?
Arche is about right.
Arshia. All right, thank you. Please move up on stage, Arshia. Big round of applause for Arshia. Woo! I said that wrong like 4 times. I'm so
No,
sorry.
you're good. You're good. Don't worry about it.
All right, great. Let me set a timer real quick. So, what are your voice goals? Let me know.
Yes. So I'm trans feminine, and this is kind of what my voice normally sounds like when I'm just kind of fully relaxed, not really working on it at all. And if I really want to shoot all the way as far as I can go, this is about what I managed to do. For me, the challenge is like it's like a I don't really get voice dysphoria. So the main thing is like, okay, so if I'm going somewhere that I don't trust, can I quickly code switch and feminize my voice and be able to kind of be safe about it, I suppose. But also I kind of live a little androgynously sometimes, so I also like to be able to hit that middle ground when the mood strikes. So I don't know.
Right, we've in and out like from masc voice to fem voice to masc voice to fem voice, but like where
Yeah,
is the
exactly.
middle actually, right? Like, what do
Yeah.
we strike as like an androgynous voice? Even I don't know. The definition is really hard to get, right? Like, androgyny has not been super popular in the Western cultures, like, America, Europe, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, like, androgyny is still hard to define. Like, I feel like depending on what culture you ask, you will tend to find like one androgynous voice will be thrown in the masc category or the fem category. Um, so yeah, I guess you were asking before that like you kind of like want to move around and not specifically be in between, but like are you maybe like scared that you are losing some qualities of your voice or
Um, I think my biggest problem is I just need to practice more, you know? Um,
that's fair.
which I'm sure a lot of people can say too. But but yeah, I think generally if I can just shoot a little further, maybe even overshoot on the feminine side, then that can give me some room, I suppose, to back off and find something a little
Right.
bit more in the middle that I might like.
Where would you say you're at with your current voice? I would say you're like definitely in like the fem range, like no problem whatsoever. Like I would like read this as a fem voice,
Yeah,
first and
yeah, I would
foremost.
agree. I would agree with that.
Right. So then in that case, would you feel like you struggle to like go for voices in between or just more like you have
Hmm.
like a fem voice and a masc voice, but there's like no space in between for you to explore?
Hmm. Mm. I feel like um I could maybe go a little bit more femme because overall I think my presentation is like femme of center, I suppose. um
Fair enough. Like trans femme envy, kind of.
yeah.
Gotcha.
But also like kind of butchy, so I don't I don't know.
So, are you feeling like you maybe would want to be more familiar with, let's say, lower pitched femme voices? Like voices that kind of
Yeah.
like hang like lower down here, like kind of chilling down here, and you're like, okay, I got a femme voice, but I'm kind of like locked up there, and I want to move around like lower, but you kind of feel like if you go
Hmm.
too far down, you kind of like lose. So, in a sense, would your goal be to achieve a lower femme voice?
A lower femme voice or like one with maybe a little bit more fry, perhaps. But I don't know,
Okay,
that
okay.
feels forced to me a little bit, so I don't know. So like
Fry feels forced.
yeah, a little bit like I'm really having
Hmm,
to like activate it and go for it, and I'm not sure
right.
that it's necessarily reading well. So, I don't know.
All right. I
Welcoming
say we
opinions.
no worries. Like fry is physically not too hard to do. Like it's like a posture that really relaxes your voice or like asks for your voice to be relaxed in a sense. But I can see how like if you are not used to like using your fem voice at lower pitches, how that can be harder more like on a behavioral level more than on a
Yeah.
physical level. So we could like take a look at this. All right, what I want you to do is try and mimic and match my voice as closely as possible. Okay?
Okay.
Let's take a gander and read at one of these sentences here. Ah, that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Great. And now let's try the following. Ah, let's go a bit lower. That
Uh,
mad brat sat on that flat mat.
that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Nah,
Mm,
that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Very good. Ah, lower now. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Very good. All right,
Mm,
so how are you feeling so far? That mad brat sat on a flat mat. Like I would start to consider that this is a lower fem voice.
yeah,
That mad
yeah.
brat sat on a flat mat. Like it's still very fem leaning, but like
Yeah,
if
I like
you
it though. I like it.
yeah. Okay, cool. So let's see more normal sentences from here. That mad brat. Let's try the following.
Mm.
Hello, good morning. How are you?
Hello, good morning. How are you?
careful here. Hello, good morning. I feel like the
Mm.
was a bit dark.
Uh-huh.
Ing.
Ing.
Let's try to make that a bit
Good
brighter.
morning.
Yes.
Hello, good morning. How are you?
How are you? Very good. All right. Hello, good morning. How are you? Compared to how you would normally say it, try to say it normally.
Hello, good morning. How are you?
Hello, good morning. How are you? Hello, good morning. How are you? Okay, it's not too far off from what you already had. Hello, good morning. How are you? All right, let's try to see if we can go lower still. Da
Okay.
da 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 da. All right, this time reaching
Oh,
a
okay.
C-sharp 3. Oh yeah, this one is going to be tricky. First, let's
Okay.
go monotonous. Oh, hello, good morning. How are you?
Hello, good morning. How are you? That feels a little too low
Very
for
good.
me, but
It's
okay,
a
yeah.
bit too low to you? All right.
Yeah.
I can feel that, right? So one of the tricky parts is with such a low voice, like hello, good morning, how are you? If you try to push it any louder or, try to make the sound slightly heavier, hello, it can very quickly
Right,
just
right.
become masc, right? So we have to stay really soft on these lower voices. However, maybe that is something that you like. So in a sense, the first kind of androgynous voice that we could be reaching here is one where it is androgynous by the nature of being lower in pitch, right? It's the
Yeah.
whole thing of like, it sounds off, but does it sound off or does it sound androgynous? Like, I feel
Sure.
like this depends on how you look at it, right? Like, if you look at it from like a fem voice perspective, it sounds off. But if you look at it from a like androgynous perspective, that might actually be your goal. So this is where again, like definitions of androgyny is kind
Sure.
of tricky to rely on. Also, I'm not using Greek. The other thing that throws you off is that, hey, I'm supposed to hear a fem voice. Why is that fem voice so good at producing that low pitch? Hello, good morning, how are you? You would actually expect something more like, hello, good morning, how are you? That would sound a lot more natural because we don't
Yeah.
expect fem voice users to go that low in pitch because testosterone hasn't affected their voices as much as it has ours. So it shouldn't be that easy. It's not impossible. There's definitely fem people that have not had testosterone affect their voices, at least not that I would know of, that are able to go much lower than this. Hello, good morning, how are you?
Yeah.
And do it flawlessly. Like I can think of like a few metal singers like the world record of like the lowest female note is like a D2. It's insane. Like it's it's lower than what most testosterone affected voices will tend to do. So, the world is quirky. Hello, good morning, how are you? So in a sense here, you could have Creek or not. That choice is entirely yours. Hello, good morning, how are you? Hello, good morning, how are you? Which one do you prefer?
Yeah, I think if I am gonna go that low, I would want to incorporate some Greek, yeah.
All right, fair enough. And maybe you want to go even lower. Hello. But here, this is where it gets really tricky.
I think at
Hello,
that
good
point it's
morning.
below
How
where
are
I can
you?
sing. Yeah.
All right,
Hello.
maybe,
Hello.
I don't
Good
know.
morning. How
Hello,
are
good morning.
you? Yeah.
But right now we're just doing
Yeah.
monotony. So it sounds strange and off and robotic because it's all monotonous. If I go that low, like, hello, good morning, how are you? Not too great sounding. It's a
Yeah.
bit too monotonous. However, if I use the intonation, this is where it gets interesting. Hello, good morning. How are you? Right? I'll have a cup of coffee, please. Oh, I forgot to take my hormones. Are you really sure about that? Right? Like, the pitch can be really low, but as long as we allow ourselves to use higher pitches alongside those lower ones, then we definitely help the voice to be read a lot more feminine, even if those lower pitches are reached. But you notice I'm staying really quiet. I'm using creak for most of these lower pitches, so as to avoid that, like to the normal listener, it's gonna be like, okay, it's very low for a femme voice, but I can acknowledge that the lower pitches are not as well done as a testosterone affected voice, right? Like you're not gonna flinch any masc egos like this. Don't you worry. But you get the idea.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I guess this is like more exploration for you in a sense. But yeah, I hope that does answer some of your questions. And it
Yeah.
gives you some like ideas to work on an androgynous voice that you like to achieve. The
Yeah,
main
absolutely.
thing to take away is try to think about it like it shouldn't be easy for a femme voice user to do lower pitches because it can kind of sound off. Like, hey, what do you mean you have the same skills as a guy? Wow. It's not specifically like that gendered, but like, you know, it tends to be, and that's in that regard. So yeah, I hope that has helped you out, Arshia.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you so
All right.
much. And your vocal
You're
control is incredible. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Only to help the others. All right, everyone, give a big round of applause to Arshia. Woo! All right. Next up on stage, I'll have another one who wants to work on feminizing their voices. If you're interested, jump in place, raise your hand. Where's the hand emoji? All right. Space Girl 03. You've not been on stage before, have you? Oh. Oh. Hi. Hello.
Hi, sorry, I was muted.
No worries. Come on stage. Come on, come on. Everyone, give a big round of applause to Space Girl 03. Woo! Hey, do you want me to drop the 03 from your name?
Yeah, you just call me Space Girl.
All right, everyone, give a big round of applause to Space Girl. Woo! You got a real fan base over here. All right, welcome on stage. Hi. Let me start the timer. Hi, hello, Space Girl. What do you want to work on today?
I really want to work on feminizing my voice because I haven't really done voice training before. This is just my normal talking voice.
All right. So like we're kind of like around here. It's not like dark. Like it's definitely like on like the brighter side. It has like a bit of vocal fold mass. It could be softer. So we're gonna probably bring your pitch a bit higher. We're gonna make your voice a bit softer. I don't think you need to make your voice too bright, but we'll take a look at this anyways. Are you familiar with some of re-roll this one? Are you familiar with some of the exercises and techniques we use around here? Like the whisper exercises, for example.
Not really.
All right. So when you use your voice, what do you hear? The first answer you might give me is pitch, right?
Yeah.
All right. But did you know that on top of that pitch is another layer, or rather beneath it, I should say, and that is the darkness or the brightness of the voice. That pitch here, can sound really loud. Be careful, you did ow. So you switch the pitch from ah to oh, ow, right? I'm keeping the same pitch. Ow. Right, that's more like it. Oh, also, what I want you to do is please make sure that your sound settings are set so that your mic is properly open. Go to the sound settings, make sure that noise suppression is turned off, and that the mic activation threshold is all the way down to 0%.
Mic output volume 100%?
I mean, that's already done, probably. No, the mic activation threshold down to 0%. Sorry.
Okay. Alright. It's at 0.
All right, perfect. So how do I do this? It's not a shift in pitch, it's a shift in brightness or darkness. To get back to what I said at the very start of the workshop, it basically refers to how big your vocal tract is. If I do this, I'm mimicking a small vocal tract. Yes. If I do this, then I'm mimicking a bigger vocal tract. That sounds a lot more masculine leaning. So in a sense, what I'm saying is that your vocal tract sounds pretty small. Whether it is physically small or whether you have kept your larynx up for whatever reason, maybe testosterone has not affected your voice as much as it has mine. Maybe you socialized a lot with people with feminine voices and so you tend to kind of mimic alongside them. Whatever the reason is, your voice sounds pretty bright. So first thing I want to do is hear what your voice range is like. Can you give me... Oh God! Was that a crash? I think that was a crash. Oh, that's the worst timing. No. Okay. All right. What I usually do is I get someone else on stage, and then I'll get that person again. So.
Yeah, they said they joined.
Oh, okay. Cool. Oh, I see. I see someone running here. Yes. Okay. Hi. Welcome back. Woo.
Hi.
You're
Okay,
fine. All right.
let me-
What's the last thing you caught? Because I was kind of like looking here. I didn't know when you popped out of existence.
Uh, the last thing I caught my like vocal brightness. You were talking about the that my voice was, like my vocal tract was pretty small.
Yes. Like here, for example, my vocal tract was pretty small. Like if it was big, you would say my vocal tract was pretty small. No, that's actually a bigger vocal tract. So in your case, actually quite bright. The one thing you would want to shift here is your pitch. So let's go for a higher pitch. What I want you to do is to give me a slide from your lowest pitch. What a range. Beautiful. All right, we got a great range. Then in that case, can you try and mimic right after me here? Very good. Can you say ashes to ashes?
Ashes to ashes.
Beautiful. And from here, can you say that mad brat sat on that flat mat?
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Okay, I'll be honest, I hear your voice jump a lot, maybe like some connection issues, but I still got the main quality at right? It's that ah sound that we care about. You might have noticed that the sentence has a lot of ah sounds, this one has a lot of ah sounds, this one a lot of aw sounds, etc., etc. So these are like sentences to help you practice different sounds. We keep the ah sound. Why? Because it keeps the tongue and the lips in a neutral position. Whatever you change in terms of brightness, that will be from your Adam's apple moving up or down. But we've done no such thing of the sort. Let's see how bright we can get your voice from there. Can you say the sentence, pat that cat, but on a whisper, like so? Pat that cat. Pat that cat. Very good. So you just done pat that cat. It's actually pretty bright, and it does comfort me in the idea that yes, your voice is already pretty bright. But for the sake of experimenting, let's try to make that really dark. Pretend you're Darth Vader. Pat that cat. It's a big cat. Pat that cat. Great. Now say just the word pat. Pat. And now let's try this. Pat, 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 pat. Good. Beautiful. So what you're doing here is a whisper. Well, when you whisper, your vocal folds are not vibrating. That means that when you whisper, you're not producing any pitch. It's not a do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do, right? It's oh, 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 oh. It's different. It's whispers. So what tunes whispers? It is the size of your vocal tract. The bigger it is, the darker the whisper. The smaller it is, the brighter the whisper, right? And so you go from pot to pat. Now from this brightest pat, yes, now from this brightest pat, we're going to try to bridge from a whisper to a breathy sound into a full phonation sound. So it's going to go something like this. Pat that cat. Try that.
Pat that cat.
That's very good. Pat that cat. However, your voice sounds a little bit on the thicker side. We have pat that cat. I'm doing a bit more weight than you are, though. Let's be honest. Pat that cat. So you want to make your voice a little bit softer. So try to make your pat not like but more like deliver less air. Even quieter. Try to make it as quiet as possible, even silent if possible. Like it's almost like an ASMR sound. That's right. And now with that same amount of air, try to go back to the femme voice. Pat that cat. All right. That's already softer sounding. Not incredibly soft, but it is on the softer side. And now from here, pat that cat, that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That cat, that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
So far, so good. You have a beautiful, monotonous fem voice. Now let's try to move up in pitch. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Great. The way down now. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Great. Now let's try this. From a low to high to low, it's going to sound like this. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
All right. Careful here at the start. That mad brat sat softer on that flat mat. On the lower pitches, you get a bit thicker. Remember to soften your voice on the lower pitches. That
mad brat sat on that flat mat.
All right, very good. And let's try the following. We're going to go from that mad brat to something like that mad brat, like you would hear in a normal sentence.
That
So-
mad brat.
Yes, that mad brat. And now, that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That sounds very good. Try the next sentence like this. The crowbar opened the subpar car.
The crowbar opened the subpar car.
All right, very good. Careful here, though. The crowbar opened the subpar car. The lower pitches here and to be darker. The crowbar. So we want to do this. Bar, 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 good.
The
You hear?
crow,
Yeah, crowbar.
the crowbar opened
Yes.
the subpar car.
Very good. Sounds great. Good job. One last thing before we wrap up here, because the timer already happened a few minutes ago. When you do this bar, 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 bar on the whisper, bar, 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 I want you to take your hand and put it on your neck gently. You should feel a little bump on your neck. Can you feel that?
Yeah, it's going up.
It's going up, correct. So if you're not aware of this, when you make your voice brighter, you bring your Adam's apple up. That's how you reduce the size of your vocal tract, right? So you let
Yep.
your tongue and your lips be free to move around and just, do different vowels like a, o, e, u, or like different consonants. So you don't rely on like a strict posture of your tongue, but more so on like the position of what's in your neck. So you can also use that as a way to monitor if you're going dark or bright. For example, when you did the crowbar opened the subpar car, right? Well, on bar and car, your Adam's apple probably dropped lower than what it usually does. Let me reassure you though, the Adam's apple, or your larynx, is meant to move around when you speak. It's not meant to be static in place, right? But there's like a potential like difference between like moving from a little bit jittering because you're speaking to like the crowbar open the subcar car. So you can also use that as an added way to monitor your voice. Okay?
Okay.
Main takeaway from this, you are pretty natural when it comes to brightness. So just keep that in mind that generally
That's
what
good.
you want to do is bring your pitch higher. And most important, I think, is to make your voice softer. You have a lot of strength behind your voice, right? Actually,
Yeah.
because I see that you have like a SpongeBob like avatar.
Yeah, I
well,
can do
not
a pretty
the
good
avatar.
SpongeBob voice.
Yeah, because SpongeBob is actually using a very small vocal tract with a lot of vocal fold mass. I don't know if that's the laugh of SpongeBob. I didn't watch SpongeBob.
Like that.
That would be the one, right? That's a really good one. And so, like, that's a really thick voice. So basically, you want to do SpongeBob, but really soft. So not like, not a voice like this, but like a
Yeah.
voice like this. From like,
Like
that
a
mad
voice.
rat sat to that mad rat sat. You can try this if you want.
That
Mad rat sat.
that mad rat sat. That mad
still-
rat sat.
Yes, that's pretty good. Although the one you did here, that mad rat sat, because that's SpongeBob, I guess SpongeBob is lower in pitch. So like higher pitch SpongeBob and then soften it up.
That-
That's another quick way to reach it.
Thank you. This is really, really helpful. This
All
is like
right,
the one thing I was like got caught on was like that buzziness, that thickness to my voice.
Yes. Yeah, it's been called the trans femme buzz, quote unquote, back then. Back when we didn't know that it was actually referring to vocal fold mass. But yeah, that's the idea, right? Like, we have a lot of muscles in our body. Our voice is no different. It has like muscles as well. We want to relax those muscles. We're not removing vocal fold mass. We are disengaging the muscles that are present. If there is too much muscle present, we get the SpongeBob voice. That mad breath sat on that flat mat. But if we make it softer, that mat breath sat on that flat mat. Although, careful, SpongeBob is a bit lower in pitch than most femme voices, so do raise the pitch a little bit if you start to go for SpongeBob. Yeah, because that's like a little bit low for.
That's no problem. I can raise the pitch.
Perfect. Then you know what to do. All right. So I gave you two methods: the normal method and the SpongeBob method. If you're like someone who has fun with like voice acting, that's a great way to go.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
All right. Awesome. Everyone, give a big round of applause to Space Girl. You killed it. Woo!
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good job. All right. Last but not least, I'll have someone who wants to practice making their voices more masculine or androgynous. If you want to make your voice more masculine or androgynous, please jump in place or raise your hand. All right. I guess it's not a mask voice day today.
Where are the mask voice people?
Oh, I see someone right here. Please? Nope. Maybe it's not for the workshop. Are we doing extra femme voice rounds? I guess we're doing extra femme voice rounds. All right. Who wants to make their voices sound femme?
Me, please.
All right. So here, Toast Ghost in the middle and the back. Yes. All right. Have you already been on stage before?
No, it's okay. Just go.
No, I haven't. I've never.
All right. Come up on stage. Come on. Come on. All right. Let's go. Big round of applause to Toast Ghost. Woo! All right. All right. Welcome up on stage. Hello, hello.
Hello.
All right. Let me start a timer. Let's go. All right. Toast Ghost. What do I call you?
You can call me Toast or you can call me Ghost. Either way.
Toast or Ghost. Either way, I'm Toast. Anyways, hi. Welcome on stage. That was a horrible joke. Oh, wow.
Glad to be here.
Beautiful presentation. So, hi. First time in one of these workshops?
Actually, yes. Yes, it is.
Oh, wow, really? Okay, I'm hearing already a lot of feminine aspects in your voice. How about you let me know what you'd like to know about your voice? Like, do you want some general feedback, or do you have, like, a specific goal in mind? Like, you want to make it even more femme than it is? Because, let's be honest, your voice is already in the femme range.
Aw, thank you. I am trying to improve on it a little bit. There are some times where because I've only been practicing for, I want to say about like 3 weeks now, so I'm not all there yet. There are some times where I do find myself sounding a little too masculine I'd like to be.
Okay.
So, I
Time
guess
to
general
sound more
advice.
masculine. Would you say that, like, you kind of, like, speak, like, around the day, and, like, eventually you kind of, like, speak for a long time, and you don't pay quite enough attention to your voice, and you kind of, like, do your day, and eventually it kind of trails down lower, and oh no, when did I get down here? Okay, that's maybe extreme, but maybe like you get more like the androgynous parts of your voice that you don't enjoy quite as much. That's more like, I feel like the biggest advice for this is just like practice more and try to pay attention to your voice more closely when you use it in like less focused settings. Like think about it like idle practicing, right? Like you're in the polishing phases of using your femme voice. Which brings me to the question, do you use your masc voice still in your day-to-day life, or do you just
I do actually.
So you kind of like have to weave in and out between like a really femme voice and a really masc voice and back and forth a lot?
Yes, because like
Interesting.
sorry. Yes, because
go on.
I mean, I haven't really started my HRT yet, so like I kind of boy mode in real life a lot, so like this is kind of how I usually talk. I mean, I've been told it's kind of a good foundation, but
Like
I've
to
been
be honest,
mistaken.
yeah, like to be honest, like that mask voice you're doing is like not incredibly like sure, it is masculine, don't take it wrong, right? Like but like it's not like super dark or like it's not like really low in pitch, you know? So like it's I feel like it's a good platform to like go da 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 quite easily into a femme voice, at least a low one, but you're actually already bringing it a bit higher. So there's quite a big gap between your mask voice and your femme voice. I'd say you're doing things pretty well. So let's see. You say that's the first time in one of these workshops. So I guess you just kind of winged it, did it on your own, maybe watched some tutorials online. Like how was your
Actually,
voice journey like?
so it's not. I thought you said like one of these workshops, as in this one per se. I have gone to other
Oh,
workshops
yeah.
for in VRC,
Okay.
but not
Yeah.
only about like 2 other times. So like more.
Gotcha.
The first time I would probably have to say is about 3 weeks ago. So
Oh, okay.
on that
Gotcha.
on that
Gotcha.
day, it was enough for me to build that confidence to just start on it. I mean,
Oh, wow.
I
So that's a
have.
3 weeks voice then.
Mhm.
That's impressive. Good job.
Thank you, thank you. I have maybe tried. That's not important. I'm here to learn, not to tell you my story. What am I saying? What am I doing here?
No. It's okay. It's good to learn about that, and also you're using your voice more, so I get to hear more what's happening. So that's good. But anyways, let's try and see and test your voice a little bit. So I just want you
Sure.
to go through these sentences, one after the other. Just take your time between sentences, so we can kind of like talk about what happened there. But just try to read these sentences and do your best at them. All right, give it a try. The first sentence.
Hello, good morning. How are you? Oh, I said that kind of funny. Oopsies.
Okay. Hello, good morning. How are you? Okay, a lot of Krieg on like the lower pitches. Hello, good morning. How are you? All right, quite good. I think like it's pretty femme. It's using Krieg on the lower pitches. You could expect something like, hello, good morning. How are you? You don't need to be creaky per se. I know what I said for Ashria, who was up on stage before you, for like the lower pitches, but like we're not that low in pitch, so I feel like you could be okay not doing Krieg. Just so you know, it can be a stylistic choice, but, you know, it's not necessary. But otherwise,
Not
sounds pretty
necessarily.
good to me. Maybe you want to try like a higher pitch version just to see how far we can push the feminine cursor.
Hello,
So,
good morning. How are you?
hello, good morning, how are you? All right, very good. Let's entertain that. Let's go even further. Can you go, hello, good morning, how are you?
Hello, good morning. How are you?
Good job. All right. Maybe you might feel like it's a bit too much of a caricature, which brings me to the very important question. What kind of femme voice are you actually wanting to go for? Like,
I'm not
are
necessarily
you
going for any
more,
type of sorry.
Mhm.
I'm
Like, are
not
you more
necessarily
fond of lower voices, of higher voices? Sorry, it's ping. It's not your fault.
No, no, it's okay,
It's
it's okay.
connection. Yeah. So yeah,
Um,
like,
not necessarily going for any type of I want to say aesthetic or anything, more just my own voice, but feminized essentially. I There are some things I could improve on, I can see in myself, but I'm not quite sure what those are. So all I'm really going for is personally right now is, I guess, a direction.
right.
Um,
So, yeah, it's like what I'm gathering a lot from like what you just said is like you kind of like trail down like at those lower pitches. It's not bad per se. It's just that it is by default like a more lower feminine voice. I think it sounds
mhm.
perfectly femme and perfectly fine that way, but perhaps it's not the case for you, right? Like in a sense, what I like to think about is that you know when I first did my femme voice, when I first learned about doing it, um I didn't believe it was femme for like a whole year because I had to use it and I had to become confident with it. And it wasn't even like this. It was, um, my femme voice from back then was like more up here. I kind of felt like my dysphoria was so strong that I had to really dissociate myself really
Overcompensate.
far yeah, I had to hypercompensate to a really, really femme voice. It might have fitted me more back then. I was like 19, 20, so like, you know, a
Hmm.
younger voice for a younger age, that's all right. I'm a bit older now, so I feel like I could still rock that voice, but it's just a different mood, a different vibe. And to be honest, I feel like the voice that fits me more in real life and when I speak to friends and when I'm just chilling is the one where I'm like a bit lower and, you know, kind of like more in the middle range. So I can sometimes push my voice higher for some like emotions, or I can push my voice lower for some, I don't know, certain mood. And so what tends to feel like not dysphoria inducing, but like feels wrong or off or not great about a voice can sometimes be the lack of range. And so If you speak all the way down here, then when you gotta intonate down for whatever reason, how can you go lower? I mean, you could still go like a lot lower, but like, I feel like it's kind of, reaching that more androgynous, risky area. So the other thing is when you do like this lower fem voice right here, you're
Mm-hmm.
closer to your masc voice. So your brain is like, hey, I'm very close to my masc voice. Is it masc voice? Question mark. Think like the butterfly meme. Is this a masc
Mm-hmm.
voice? So like it's a similar thing for you, right? Like you might want to actually make the gap a bit bigger until you grow like trustworthy enough in yourself and your capabilities of doing fem voice. You're very recent with this, right? Like it's very new, only 3 weeks. Impressive progress. It's a really fast one, but that's I think one of the issue as well. You're really good at producing voice, but are you good at judging your voice and critiquing yourself? Maybe not as much. So
Uh-uh.
you might not
Not at
you might
all.
not be aware of where your voice is at, right? So it's good to like kind of practice doing these voices, comparing it a lot to your masc voice, like doing side by sides on the same pitch. For example, one I could do is like, uh, hello, good morning, how are you? Now, same pitch in the masc voice. Oh, hello, good morning, how are you? And you can really hear the difference, but if you check like a pitch monitoring app, it's like, oh, it's the same pitch. So that's like a great way to like, show yourself that, hey, you are able to do this, that you're doing this feminizing thing properly and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess that's more like the uh, the advice I have for you. Like you're very capable of doing the higher pitched ones, but would you feel like the higher pitched ones feel all right to you, or you feel like you're going too far to a caricature?
I feel like I'm going too far in a caricature, and maybe I'm also a little embarrassed here to do it. I've been fighting, not necessarily,
Mm,
not necessarily
right, I get
because
it,
like
I
I
get
feel
it.
unsafe per se. My mom is in the other room, and she doesn't know I'm transitioning yet. So she knows I'm
She
trans.
knows she knows
She
you're
knows I'm trans, but
she
she doesn't
knows
know
her
I'm
kid is a
transitioning.
skilled voice actress, is what she knows.
I mean, uh,
Look, if you just, use your voice, it's like, all right, hello, good morning, how are you?
Don't worry, Mom. It's voice acting. It's voice acting. It's chill.
I mean, she'll never
Yeah.
really judge me or
Mm,
really get on to me for it.
no.
But like, it's more just the me thing, I guess. I've noticed when she's not around, I'll definitely be like up a couple octaves. But like right
Hmm.
now, I'm kind of just doing this is my pitch, kind of relaxed right now.
And
But
even
like when
that
she's
pitch
gone, it's more like,
relaxed
hey, how
version
are you
does
doing?
sound
Like,
good.
maybe that's a
Yeah,
little
okay.
just pushing a little too far. But like, I mean,
All right.
I do use those voice trainer apps like voice tools. That's what it was. Um, quite a bit actually. I
Not
do that every morning for warm up. Really.
okay. Not a huge fan of voice tools. The only reason
Mm.
I'll say why I'm not a fan is because it only gives you pitch as like a way to
Oh
like
yeah,
monitor your voice. It doesn't really
yeah.
give you any like tips on like brightness, darkness. So like
Oh,
that's a bit
absolutely.
lackluster. So
I only
as
really
long
use
as
it
you
for the
know
record back.
this,
Yeah.
cool. Then that's good. As
Mhm.
long as you use it like with that in mind, you're good to go. I'm more old school. I like to go for like the just like whatever pitch monitor app I have. I like to see the pitch and like then trusting my brain for like how bright is it, how dark it is. And if I don't trust myself, hello, good morning, how are you? I can just always just play it back and hear it for myself. Hello, good morning, how are you? Good and R, not great, so I can then listen back to it and be like, okay, that
Mhm.
sounds good. That doesn't sound so good.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah.
usually how I use the voice tools app. I kind of use it to kind of make sure my pitch is kind of good because I feel like I could go a little higher in pitch myself. But for the time being, like I say, I personally am a little too embarrassed to go that far yet.
So then it's
But
more of a
like
mental block. It's a good
it is
news, right?
mostly a
Like,
mental block,
it,
really.
if it's a mostly mental block thing, then it's something you'll be able to power through with practice.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, you'll have to wait it out, I suppose, the hormones and all that stuff. I hope you get started as soon as possible for your own sake, and I don't need to tell you that. You probably are trying your best.
Possibly this Tuesday or
Possibly?
Thursday, maybe. So
Oh,
like
that would be
I
nice.
don't like
I
to say
wish you the
that it is
best.
happening because I don't know for sure, but I did get my blood work recently, so hopefully
Hey,
soon.
hey, hey. fingers crossed, right? I can't cross my fingers on the VRChat. This is a shame.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. All right.
Fingers crossed.
All right, but that's pretty much all the advice I have for you. Just keep it up. You are doing really well. So don't doubt yourself.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yippee, yippee, yippee. I am the best, but I'm not the best. I'm gonna be the very best.
Okay.
All right.
I'm gonna be the very best. All right. All right. Big applause to Toast. Woo! All right. And with that, we will wrap up the workshop today. I hope y'all enjoyed this. So, hey, Rory, do we have any questions from either the Discord or the Twitch stream? Just a second. Yes. You are listening to Savvy. You are listening to Savvy. Hello. Yes. Darker vocal weight. Careful not to misuse the terminology, at least so we can communicate things more easily. Darker is used for like ow, for like how dark our voice is, how big the vocal tract is. But I suppose that when you mean darker vocal weight, you mean like a more masculine leaning vocal weight, by which you would probably want to say a heavier vocal weight or a heavier or buzzier voice. So your goal is to get a heavier vocal weight. This is kind of like the answer I have to give you is, to me, it's easy because I have the cheat code of testosterone, right? Like,
Testosterone made achieving really thick sounds really easy, but
some practice also helped with that. Like, I did beatboxing for a lot of times, and to do voices or sounds such as like really strong basses like that, using like heavy vocal fold mass is something that came with practice and training. So, and I've also noticed and worked with some, not worked with, but seen some like AFAB beatboxers who seemingly didn't have any testosterone in their body per se, have that ability to have really thick sounds themselves. So it's definitely possible through some practice to achieve a certain effect, but it won't probably get as heavy as someone with testosterone. Of course, like you'll find like metal vocalists that are AFAB, no testosterone, that can slay that no problem. With practice, you can do so as well. So how do you do this? Well, the two things I can give you is like if you start at high pitches, you can maybe try to like find a really heavy sound, like it's not super fun sounding or nice sounding, like a really heavy sound, and then you can try to bring that lower in pitch, da 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 da, and then try to keep it down here and have that heavier, more textured voice. The other way to go about this is to start at like as low as you can, and then try to make your voice thicker from here. And if it sounds like I'm getting punched in the gut, that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm not punching myself, that is, but like I'm kind of using my diaphragm to deliver shorter but greater bursts of air. As I mentioned before, when we want to make our voices softer, we tend to want to reduce the airflow. The same is true the other way around, increasing how much air we use by a little bit, gently, not so much that like you get like a really breathy voice, right? It's a double action. Increase how much air you push, but also increase how much the vocal folds close. To practice that closure and finding that heavy vocal fold mass, try to do it at higher pitches where you might have more experience doing these sounds. So these are my two recommendations for you. Hope that helps out. All right. I'll take the question. by doing fem voice, that does sound kind of strange. I mean, like, you are going towards a more fem voice. Um, hmm. Like, unless you know, I don't know, like, what your voice was like before. If testosterone affected you during, maybe because we sometimes get like younger people who have testosterone affect them during their voice practice, so maybe that's your case. But if that's not the case, then you maybe have used voices that are like a little bit too breathy, that has made your voice more tired. There's no counterindications, like making your voice more femme by raising your larynx should not lock you out of ranges. There is the potential stiffness in terms of range where if you like really keep your larynx in a always highest place, if you do only that and don't like take the time to like do maybe more free singing, like like one that doesn't really care about larynx height, right, like using your range without keeping the larynx in mind, then maybe it's more like a psychological block that you kind of have gotten into. So physically, no, there's no reason for why you would lose your range. Psychologically, I don't know. Things could happen. So I can't really answer that question too well for you here. So yeah. Maybe like send like a message in the hashtag voice training channel on the Trans Academy Discord. And maybe like link a message of what your experience with voice is so far and what your voice currently sounds like. And maybe I can give you more answers on this. All right. I hope that answers your question, even if it is a bit lackluster, but without more information, that's going to be difficult. All right. Thank you, Rory. Oh, yes. Go on. Sure. Go for it. Yes. So no, it does not do anything to your voice. I mean, like there's a very, very small effect, and it's not estrogen that's gonna make your voice more feminine, but rather the lack thereof testosterone that will make your muscles atrophy, like not just in your voice, in your entire body. And with the lack of testosterone, your vocal folds potentially lose some of their vocal weight over time. Like even for me, like I did notice this where like I was definitely able to get really, really thick sounds, but I could definitely go thicker back then more easily because I had more testosterone in my body. Now, not so much because I've been on HRT for like several years now. So, but like it's difficult to say because like there's definitely the behavior. Scientific papers seem to show that there is a small reduction of available vocal fold mass involvement. This is especially studies on like older people, like over the age of 60, 70 and more, where in their case, it's the lack of testosterone produced by their body that just naturally has them lose some of that muscle mass. But yeah, normally HRT doesn't change your voice too much if you're doing a feminizing one. So mostly behavior is going to be what changes your voice. But boy oh boy, can you do a lot with voice behavior modification. Am I right? All right, hope that answers your question. And how much time we got? Do we got questions for audience questions, Rory? Maybe like one question? Oh. All right, that's going to be the last question then. Let's do the Twitch chat question and then we'll wrap it up. As much as possible, within the limits of reason and dysphoria, I suppose. For some of us, it's really difficult. I know for me, it was hard where if I couldn't do one sound properly, I would get really mad at myself and just go mute for an entire day. Yes, that's a real story. I know it really changed since then, but it's really tough to answer that question because for some people, practicing a lot is going to be really productive because dysphoria is not as much of an issue for them, or despite it not being an issue, like they already maybe have done some voice acting. It depends on what your skill level is. If you're already a singer, if you have some musical ear, if you do some like funny voices, some voice acting, then you already have a bit of an advantage over someone who has done none of these things for their voices or just for like their musical acknowledgement of like what pitches are, for example, and stuff like that. So what I like to think about is the start, you're really going to want to do a lot of focused practice. Like just sit down in front of your phone, of like a pitch tracking app, record your voice, listen back to it a lot. But I wouldn't say you have to do it 2 hours a day, like 10, 15 minutes a day. If you can go for an entire hour, that's cool, but you don't have to do this. I think the biggest chunk of the practice, once you are familiar with the concepts of brightness and darkness, of heavy vocal fold mass, of light vocal fold mass, or with the concepts of high pitch and of
Low pitch.
right, with your voice, and you have all of that connected with some of the terminology we talk about here, then you can start to do more idle practice. Like, I don't know, you're making eggs in the morning, and you're like, I'm making eggs. And you try to like, speak as you do things. Like some of us sing or speak under the shower, we have shower thoughts, whatever. But like it helps to like kind of do it in not as focused practice times. Like have a little mantra phrase you want to work at. For example, for some people, it's pat that cat. For others, it's heat from fire, fire from heat. For others, it's 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. It depends really on the person and the individual. So yeah, just find the sentences that work for you and just try to practice it like idly and focused as well. So mostly practiced focus at the start, every day, 15, 20 minutes if possible. You can do more, but listen close to your body. Don't force your voice through. Like if your voice starts to feel tired, or if your voice, if your mind gets tired too because dysphoria, or just like you feel like you're not getting anywhere, just pause. Then you're gonna have more time in the late run, in the late stages. Late stages. What am I saying? You can have more time next day. Sorry, it's not a sprint. It's a marathon, just like the rest of transitioning. So, take it slow, and your voice will evolve that much faster. All right. I hope that answers your question. And with that, we are going to wrap up today's workshop. I hope all of you had something to learn from this workshop. I know I had a lot of fun practicing some fun voice stuff with all of you. So, if you like this workshop, there will be another one happening next Sunday, and the Sunday after, and the Sunday after. They happen every Sunday, these voice modulation workshops. So, if you'd like to perhaps have a lesson with me, I do teach private lessons and public lessons on my own Discord called Scientifically Augmented Voice with this funky logo over here. You can join my Discord if you want by clicking on my bio here in vrchat. So just like click on my bio and there's a link to my Discord. But if you don't have any of these things and you just want to like message me questions either about voice or about like lessons, like pricing and scheduling and stuff like that, just, type savvy_sav in Discord, all in lowercase, just like here, and I'll be sure to give you some information about this. Whatever you choose to do, I will be seeing you next Sunday in one of these workshops. Y'all have a great rest of your day, and I'm going to wrap up this workshop. Hey everyone, my name is Savvy. I teach voice feminization as well as voice
Masculinization.
I also teach voice acting, singing, and a fun thing called human beatboxing, with sounds such as... So if you're learning any of this, you can just hit me up on Discord. Either way, I'll see all of you on the next Sunday. Alright, bye Twitch, bye Discord, and bye, you beautiful crowd. See you around on the next Sunday. Bye-bye!